Alright, let's put together the PTS Masada V2 conversion kit. So, first thing you're going to need to do is take apart your entire gun and then get it down to the gearbox or whatever gearbox you want, because you're not going to have the original PTS Masada gearbox. Then, if you're lucky like I am and you get the Prometheus gearbox, the whole gears and the shimming and all of that, nothing is, in terms of the parts I built, should be messing with any of this. So we should be all good. Just the top part here. So then you got to get your nozzle. This is the proprietary nozzle. If you want like a steel nozzle, I think the only nozzle that is metal that can reach up to this length is the max model adjustable 33 to 30 millimeter nozzle. So that gives you about 8 extra FPS, I know, because I have one. And if you want, you can just compare the two nozzle heights and then just JB weld the max nozzle to be that height. So there is that. Then you just got to put it together like this. Make sure the hole's here, make sure this is on the track. Can't tell you how many times I've tried to put this together and then it wouldn't close, and then I was slamming it because it just wasn't on track. Alright, put all the screws in there. Gonna want to use an M2 screw despite the fact, M2 screwdriver despite the fact that this is an M3 screw. So, put it in right here. Don't want to put them too tight. Now you want to save that last one for last, obviously. Go like that. Get this little bracket here. So what this bracket does is it gets the upper and it holds down the gearbox like that. You can see the little scratch marks here. And it pins it into the lower, because the original gearbox that goes into this gun is a bit bigger than the version 2. So if you were just to raw dog it without a brace, it would just rattle everywhere. Make sure you have your spring out. Alright. For some reason my last one's a Phillips head, so that's why I have this. There you go. And once you have all of this assembled, you would, if you want your charging handle to work, I would suggest taking out that last screw there. And some gearboxes have an extra fin here. The reason why this will have a hard time coming back on most version 2s is because it is not sawed down right here at the top. You're also going to want to take out the little ring here in the front so that it fits nice into the lower. But yeah, take out that screw right there, but don't take out the front screw right here. You don't need to do that, but what I did do is grind it down just a little bit, or you could just get a flatter head screw. But yeah, once you do that, you can effectively use your charging handle. You might want to use that for the hop, but we'll get to that another time. Put that in here. Boom, without even using a screwdriver. So the next part you're going to want to put in are the Ambi gears. So you see that there are two little dots here and there's a slot here, and you see that one of them has a platform here and the other one has a long shaft. The long shaft will have to go on the right side of your gearbox, and the left shaft will have to go on the left side. And so then you just have to line up the holes. Don't worry, when I send them over there, the holes will be nice and made for you. So it's not like you have to shove them in too hard. And then right when you have to make sure that they are locked in, because you don't want to get this screw here and then start screwing down and snap your two little dots there. Otherwise you're going to have a desynchronized fire selector, and that's not fun. Screw this in nice and tight, but not too tight, because there is no metal threads in there. Nice and kind of flat there. There you go. You're all set for that. Alright. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is the fire selectors. So these fire selector switches here are the same exact thing to each other. So it doesn't really, the polarity of these don't matter. You can put your right on your left on your right. And what does matter is these gears here. This will have to go on the left hand side because of the little nub here that hits the fire selector plate. So then what you want to do is get this little ball here and put it in one of those. Put it preferably on safety, not because I'm from OSHA or anything, but you know, you just want to have them straightforward. And you see these little bricks here. Align that with the little brick inside this brick rectangle here, so that they are nice and all set. Put your index finger down on the nut and get your M3 sized hex key or Allen key or whatever it's called, and have your thumb jam down the switch, finger on the nut, and tighten them down. Now, depending on how tight you tighten them will determine how hard it is to turn your switches. I've had these before where they were extremely light, and I would constantly be going from semi-automatic to safety because my hand would hit it. This was back when it was longer. I've shortened them since. But yeah, you want them nice and tight, but you don't want them too tight like this. Okay, that's good right there. And then do the second one. Well, to fill up the empty space that I have here, I'm going to explain why I changed out the gears from the stock Masada gears. It's because the fire selector Ambi shaft is placed a bit closer than on a standard version 2 gearbox. So if you were to put the stock Ambi selectors and Ambi gears instead of version 2, they would not touch, so you could not change your firing style. So that's why I did what I did here. Alright, that's good enough. So, get your gearbox here, put the wires in right, have both of your gears facing that way, and have it plunged in. Tuck your wires in, and that's how that gearbox should be fitting in after you cut the little ring off the front of your version 2. Make sure to give it a twist once or twice to get the gears all settled in, so that when you put the upper on, it's not going to mess with anything. Alright, and then let's put the upper on. So usually you'd want to slap your upper on like that. But with this, since the nozzle is a bit longer, you're gonna want to have your upper sliding in instead. And if you notice that we're having a bit of a gap here, it's because sometimes the gears will touch. So you might want to do that to get your holes to line up. But that's only sometimes. A lot of times it doesn't do that. But okay, like that. Oh my god, my wires. Yeah, I hate the wires. Don't really go in all that well, and they always tend to get in the way. Alright, all set. Slap your pins in. Make sure that you're using the 2 small pins instead of your long pin, because your long pin goes into your hand guard, which then holds your battery. And you see, you can use your charging handle. The Ambi Select works just fine. So now on to the motor. So how you want to have your motor planted, because this is very important too, is you're going to have your wires like this, so they're straight up and you know exactly which polarity is where. And there's a nook right here. This nook is very important because it's supposed to fit around the nut here. So you want to have your nook side and your wire, so that would be black on nook. So then you get your thing here, and you don't want to slam it in like this, Even though this material can take it, it just isn't healthy. I've made this out of weaker material, and it's just not good for it. And you're all set. You notice there's a little divot here. That is because when you put your motor in, make sure you get the hole, put it in the hole just right. When you put your motor in, you will see that the red wire right there will need to go into that passageway. Alright, and when you have your motor cap on, it will then not smash that wire into the frame of the motor cage, or the motor cup as I like to call it, because it's not really like a traditional motor cage. And then you got to get your screw not fully in, kind of like out, and you get that little hook there and you shove it under this little metal thing right here, a little bar or whatever you want to call it, and then get this like indentation and put it on the nook, and then kind of put it down and grab your screw here. Now you don't want to screw this too tight, not because it'll break anything, but because it's just, I don't know, health of parts, I don't know, but I don't like tightening it too tight. It doesn't even need to be too tight. It's not going to fly out, trust me. So get that. Make sure your motor adjuster is all the way at 0, and you're going to want to tighten the screw so you can let go of it right when it hits the threads. And you're going to want to stop tightening the screw right when they kind of meet up right here. They're kind of at the same height. So the motor cap and the frame. Right when they're at the same height, you don't really need to tighten it anymore. This does work, but let me show you how it works. Oop. Put it at the semi, and you'll notice it will sound kind of strange on your first shot, and then you notice that it'll sound different. My Lonex motor is very high pitched. It does not mean that the motor is being very stressed. So we can put it up higher. You hear that? You can stress your motor out. But what I like to do is put it back down to its 0 spot. How you know it's at 0 is when you can feel it kind of touching, but it's completely flat. Yep, and that's how it works. That is how you install that. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this product. I spent a lot of time making it, and I really enjoy this gun, and it's one of my favorite guns now that I have upgraded it. And you have a nice one now.